Hi, kindergarten friends. It's Mrs. Ott, and it's time for today's interactive read aloud. Today we'll be reading the book Big Al. This book was written by Andrew Clements and illustrated by Yoshi. Take a look at the front cover of the book. Look at Big Al. What do you notice about him? The little fish are noticing that Big Al looks different from them. Can you see that on the cover? Let's see how the other fish treat Big Al because he looks different. Big Al. This is the title page. In the wide blue sea, there was a very friendly fish named Big Al. You could not find a nicer fish. But Big Al was also very, very scary. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend. Some had many, but Big Al had none. He did not really blame the other fish. How could he expect little fish to trust a great big fish with eyes and skin and teeth like this? So Big Al was lonely and cried big salty tears into the big salty sea. He feels very lonely all by himself. But Big Al really wanted friends, so he worked at it. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else did. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant that has big, sharp teeth? He thought that if he puffed himself up round, the other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. All they saw was how big he could be, and they steered clear. So it looks like the other fish are scared of Big Al. Very early one morning, Big Al went down to the bottom and flopped and wiggled himself into the sand until he was almost covered up. He looked much smaller. When the other fish came near, Big Al talked and joked with them and had a delightful time. But then one scratchy little grain of sand got stuck in his gills, and he sneezed. Achoo! When the clouds of sand cleared away, all the other fish were gone. I bet he's feeling very discouraged. He's trying different ways to make friends, but it's just not working for him. Big Al even changed his color one day so he could look like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling like he was just one of the crowd. But he was so big and clumsy that when all the tiny fish darted to the left and then quickly back to the right, Big Al plowed straight ahead. He went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were gone. And he was all alone again, sadder than ever. Just when Big Al was starting to be sure that he would never have a single friend, something happened. He was floating along sadly, watching some of the smaller fish, and he was wishing they would come closer. As he watched, a net dropped down silently from above, and in an instant, they were caught. Boys and girls, Who do you think caught the fish? Probably some fishermen. Big Al forgot all about being lonely, and he forgot all about being sad. His eyes bulged out bigger and rounder than ever, and with a mighty flip of his tail, he opened his mouth and charged straight at the net. The net was strong, but Big Al was stronger. He ripped right through it, and all the little fish rushed out through the hole. What a great way to help the other fish. But when Big Al tried to turn around and go out of the hole, he got all tangled up in the net. He was stuck. The net went higher and higher toward the bright surface of the sea, and the little fish watched Big Al as he disappeared above them. When the little fish were able to speak again, all they talked about was the huge, wonderful fish that had saved them. How great to be free, but what a shame the big fellow had been captured. Okay, boys and girls. So Big Al, he was so brave, and he wasn't afraid of the net, and he helped the little fish, and now he's captured and caught. Let's see what's going to happen next. Just then, there was a tremendous crashing splash above them, and the little small fish dashed away. Was it the net again? Not at all. It was Big Al. Those fishermen took one look at him and threw him right back into the ocean. And now there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anyone else. Big Al. All right, boys and girls, let's talk a little bit about the story. The story's setting is the ocean. What do the details in the book's words and illustrations tell you about the ocean? The ocean has different kinds of fish living in it. There's sand at the bottom. Fishing nets catch fish in the ocean. What does Big Al do to try to make himself less scary to the other fish? Yep, he starts off by hiding in the seaweed. Remember that? He hides under sand. He even puffs himself up. And he changes his color, but none of those things make him less scary to the little fish. Sometimes the feelings of characters change during a story. How does Big Al feel at the beginning of the story? Yeah, he feels very lonely and sad. He doesn't have any friends. How does he feel at the end of the story? Yeah, he feels happy because he has a lot of fish friends. How do you know that Big Al really wants to be friends with the other fish? He definitely keeps trying, doesn't he? He doesn't give up. He keeps trying to find ways that the fish will be friends with him and won't be afraid of him. How does the illustrator try to make the pictures look real? Yeah, it looks like the fish are really swimming in the water. So that is something that the illustrator has done to make the pictures look real. What lessons does the author want you to learn from reading this story? I think definitely one of the first lessons he wants us to learn is that we should pick our friends by the way they act, not by how they look. I think another lesson is don't change the way you are so that others will like you. People should like you for who you are. And if you don't get what you want at first, you can keep trying. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this story today. Big Al.